Lama Parsha Zu Stuma. Rashi, at the beginning of Vayechi, our Parsha, asks, why is Parsha Zu Stuma, Parshas Vayechi, the way it's written in Sefer Torah, just continues off Vayigash. There's no space whatsoever. It's introducing a new episode, and it's as if it's just a continuation from Parshas Vayigash. Says Rashi, Vayechi describes Yaakov Avinu's passing. After the passing of Yaakov Avinu, Nistemu Einehem v'libam shel Yisrael. The eyes and hearts of the Jewish people, they closed. This was the beginning. This was the beginning of Shivud Mitzrayim. This is the beginning of their enslavement. The pasuk is clearly telling us that it was the passing of Yaakov Avinu that did this. And what is it that it did? What's pointed out here, what's being pointed out here, is not the fact that they became slaves. We don't read about the enslavement until Shmos. Their eyes and hearts closed. This is clearly related to the passing of Yaakov Avinu, and what we're talking about is just the whole state of the Jewish personality, the Jewish outlook. It was Yaakov Avinu's passing that, number one, enabled enslavement. And number two, that brought about an attitude of despair. What changed? What changed? Yaakov Avinu was no longer there. This is a new generation. This was no longer Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, the Shvatim. This is a new generation. This was a generation that, for the most part, was born in Egypt. There was something special that ended with the passing of Yaakov Avinu. In the beginning of Shemos, we read that also included the passing of his children. But here, especially with Yaakov, what others can do to you, certainly emotionally and possibly even physically, is almost entirely dependent on your own character, your own mindset. If you're a Yaakov Avinu, if you're a giant at heart, not only you, but everyone around you, your whole family, you're Your family has this sense of greatness, this sense of elevation. These are not people that you can turn into slaves. Nor are these people that when oppressed will give up, go into depression, will see no salvation in sight. Their eyes, their hearts will be closed. That cannot happen. Yaakov Avinu was gone. And then his children. It's a different personality. It's totally different personality. With the passing of Yaakov Avinu, only then was there an ability for their eyes and hearts to close. Eyes seeing the future. Yaakov Avinu knew that they were going to be tortured. It was told to Avraham Avinu. This was foretold back in the Bris Ben Absarim. Way back when. Yeah, that was part of a process. A process that was going to culminate in the divine revelation, national revelation, and then in conquering the land of Israel. It's part of a process. It's difficult. It's difficult. But you don't lose your greatness. You know where you're headed. You understand the purpose. You know what's ahead. How is it that they were turned into slaves? How is it that they lost their perspective? And then their hearts were sunken. That feeling of greatness had disappeared. As individuals and as a nation, everyone's been through a lot. The question is, what does it do to you? What does it do to you? What would one have expected the Jewish nation to look like post-Holocaust? Go further. Survivors. Survivors. These were people that were transported in cattle cars. These were people that were placed in a starvation diet, were humiliated, an attempt to dehumanize them in every way, treated like animals, called dogs on a regular basis, their families killed in mass production. What do you expect them to look like? There aren't that many still around. Where I grew up, everyone's parents were survivors. Almost no one had a grandparent. These were not broken people in any way. These were people with pride. You couldn't go and break the Jew by transporting him in cattle cars. And look what happened after the Holocaust. What did we do? Jewish people sit around and complain? What did Jews do? Those that came here built the country. Those that went elsewhere, they built new lives and communities for themselves. They didn't blame the world for all their problems, although there was reason to blame the rest of humanity. In fact, most of them were not interested in remembering the Holocaust. They wanted to get on with their lives. The Jewish personality. The Jewish personality is one that never sees despair. We know it's a process. With those that march to the gas chambers singing Ani Mamin, Bevias HaMashiach. The eyes were never closed. The hearts remained alive and proud. Golus Mitzrayim. Golus Mitzrayim, where Jews really were turned into slaves, allowed themselves to be slaves, is because Yaakov Avinu was gone. And it wasn't until Yetzias Mitzrayim, it wasn't until all the miracles, and then finally bringing the people miraculously to the level where every one of them experienced prophecy. It wasn't until then that the Jewish personality was rebuilt. The message is there for us. Never are we to be like the Jews in Egypt. Our never again is not what the nations shouldn't be doing to us. And it's not what we're going to do to fight the world. The Jew can never forget his greatness. We are a people with a mission. We are a people with a future. We are the future of humanity. We have a lot to teach all of humanity. We as a people must maintain our stature. So unfortunate. So many Jews who are embarrassed of being Jewish. So many of our brethren that refuse to stand up and be counted as Jews. They're missing that pride. That pride that's the very fiber of the Jew. It is brought down that when you say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, whom are you talking to? So most literally, we're quoting a pasuk in Chumash, and it's Moshe Rabbeinu speaking to us. You say Shema Yisrael, you're speaking to yourself. But there's another interpretation. And in Halacha, it's brought down as well. Shema Yisrael, you are speaking to our great-granddaddy, Yaakov Avinu, whose name was Yisrael. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. We live by this. Why Yaakov Avinu? Well, his son said that to him. But there's more. Our state in Egypt was caused by us moving away from Yaakov Avinu. moving away from the era of the patriarchs, of these giants. These giants that were afraid of no one. These giants that changed the world. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. When we want to declare our emunah in Hashem, we are telling it to Yaakov Avinu. Yeah, we've got it in us. The Orach Chaim HaKadosh points out that the names Yaakov and Yisrael are used throughout the Chumash, even after Yaakov Avinu's name was changed to Yisrael. The pasuk continues using sometimes Yaakov, sometimes Yisrael, and he says that if you look carefully, when anything that sounds like weakness is involved, such as Yaakov Avinu about to leave the world, the word used is Yaakov. Yisrael, which was the name given him after he defeats the angel of Esav, where he rules over the godly, referring to angels. That's the name of strength. Shema Yisrael. Yisrael, we're loyal to you. We're not just loyal to Hashem, we're loyal to you. This Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. We're willing to fight for, we're willing to stand up and be proud in declaring. We're willing to bring it to all our brethren and all of humanity. And if necessary, die for it. We're speaking to Yisrael. The Jews got to be proud, elevated, knowing that we're different. We're a whole different breed, caliber. We have ideals that we live by. There's purpose to life that goes beyond the physical. We're greater. We have to respect ourselves. We can never, ever forget that there's destiny. And once again, not only as a nation, but even as individuals. The Jew stands up to challenges and understands that they're only challenges that are bringing him to something greater and higher. They're being built. This is the lesson. This is the lesson of the beginning of the Parsha. The tragedy of Parshas Vayechi is that when Yaakov Avinu was no longer around, the Jews lost their pride. And we can never, never, ever be guilty of that again. Let's learn the lesson. Learn, understand why the Jew is different, why we're elevated, why we're more responsible, why we are a different caliber of human being. Be proud, stand up for it, share it, ignite others. And together, let's turn the Jewish nation into that great people we are supposed to be. Great, proud, and responsible. And then, once and for all, the world will begin looking like what it's supposed to. Once and for all, the name of Hashem will be out in the open, and the world will be able to reach perfection.